Hey, how's it going, guys? Today we're going to be going over in detail the Monster Tribe Kickstarter campaign. Now, Monster Tribe is an open world RPG that's also pixel art and has turn-based team battling. Now, we're going to get into the combat a bit later because the combat's actually pretty interesting. It works kind of on like a mini grid. But anyway, right now it's about 2 days into its campaign. It's almost halfway funded. So the game's definitely going to get there. But obviously share this around. I'll leave the links and stuff in the description so you guys can check it out for yourselves. But I think this is gonna get funded pretty soon. Give it a couple days. Anyway, we're gonna jump into all the information and we'll start with the Kickstarter trailer because why not? So usually I sort of pause trailers and then talk a little bit, but I really didn't want to because I think this is a really good trailer. So I didn't want to interrupt it, but I did talk about the battling. So if we go over here, see, it's basically you can move your monsters onto various squares. You have different attacks that might hit like adjacent to you, diagonal to you, etc. If you guys want to learn more about just the game in general after we're done here, I did interview Reese, the game's developer, on our podcast. So I'll leave that linked in the description as well if you want sort of a more in-depth description of certain functions within the game from the developer themselves. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going right through this Kickstarter. So let's check it out. Monster Tribe is a fresh new take on the monster taming genre, where exploration and strategy have become key focal points for the project. Players will find themselves in a vast reclaimed wilderness of the island of Akama, surrounded by bits of ancient history and countless creatures known to people of the island as the, and I'm going to mispronounce this 100%, Atean? You will collect and battle with the Atean at your side, leveling up, crafting a team, and strategies for many challenging combat scenarios, and ultimately fighting your way through large towers that loom over the landscape of Akama. With a source crafted to seemingly blend the sounds of ancient technology with the wonders of the untamed wilderness, a vast world, a gripping narrative filled with style and mystery, and hundreds of unique monsters to collect and battle with, we at Boundless Games hope to create an experience unlike you've ever played. We hope that you enter the world of Monster Tribe and get lost within its wonders. And then you have obviously their social media. The story. In a vast ocean landscape, a lone island sits. The island is called Akama by its people, and it's a very special place. It's home to not only its native people, but also a strange type of creature called Atean. The Atean, and again, it's either Atean or Atian. I don't think it's Atian, so I think it's Atean. Appeared on this island through a magical rift and continuously draw energy from it. Using this magical spirit energy, the monsters have manifested wonderful powers of all kinds. The people of long ago are said to have had a special connection with the monsters, and together they built a beautiful island civilization. But all of that is ancient history. The island of Akama is very different of what it used to be. These days, the Atean are only barely cling to the land. Their spirits wander the island, causing strange, supernatural occurrences where they roam. A few say they still see them floating around, but even only describe a faint ball of light. The creatures of the past are long gone and near forgotten. Similarly, once a grand civilization has become a mythic past, a grand life beyond imagination for the people of the present. That is until one man begins his spiritual journey. The player will embark into the land of Akama and relearn the secrets of the past. Along the way, you will use the unique powers of the Atiyan to restore a balance that has been tipped a long time ago, and reveal the truths about the island, the creatures, and the people whom inhabited it long ago. There is much more to the history of this land than stories that have been passed down. Will you journey to the heart of this world to see them for yourself? So we have the gameplay. So the game fuses strategy combat with RPG systems, item collections, and dungeon filled with puzzles to pull the player into the world. But ultimately, the game is all about exploration. The island of Akama is vast and wild, reclaimed by nature over many years. There are mountains, beaches, forests, and mines alongside some scenery much less familiar. Remnants of vast ruins can be seen throughout the land. In order to explore these strange and sometimes dangerous lands, you'll need the help of the Atiyan. And I really apologize if I'm pronouncing these incorrectly. By binding your spirits with these creatures, you'll be able to uncover the many secrets Akama has to offer. You'll use your monsters to battle your way through the wilderness, and along the way, you will find many unique resources to collect. Your tools will help you scavenge for rare ores and logs, and forage for food in trees and beneath waves. Resources will be a huge aid to both you and your monsters that you choose to follow you, allowing you to unlock special fusion forms and upgrade your party. Once you feel ready, the player can then take their team to many of the towers present throughout the island to try to tackle the strange and mysterious dungeons and puzzles that await there. Beyond these epic challenges are mysteries of the past and possibly a way forward for the people of the present. We want to provide a well-balanced and nuanced combat system alongside the world that keeps you wandering around every corner. That's why Monster Tribe promises to deliver. So you got the little gif of the sort of what you can do. Theme. Monster Tribe dares to venture past a typical hero versus villain story in order to explore themes of more significant weight. The Earth is currently undergoing a violent shift, a climate catastrophe caused by humanity's overgrowing demand for power and resources. The incredible speed with which technology advances has meant that our impact on the planet has scaled up drastically over the last 100 years or so. The island of Akama is teeming with natural wonders, but similar to our own planet, it must contend with the people and the creatures that call it home. The story of Monster Tribe will delve into this complex balance between nature, technology, and society, drawing inspiration from stories and tradition of the Native American peoples to paint a picture of importance of the land around us and the consequences of tipping the scales that balance. Because of the nature of the narrative and sources which we draw, both the passage of time and the ways in which we pass down our stories and traditions will also have a significant impact on the game's themes. The world. Akama is the island that you will find yourself living on when you start Monster Tribe, a land long past its prime. The player lives in a small village surrounded on all sides by huge swaths of wild, untamed lands. The people of the village live a very simple lifestyle, only barely able to support the needs of their small community. The resources that the village depends on are hard to come by due to the dangers of venturing out into the wilds, and technology that used to power the island has become so costly to operate that it's all but vanished. There are remnants all around of what once was a vast, incredibly advanced civilization, but so much time has passed that its fall that these signs of a once great past serve as no more than basis for the children's stories and local legends. That's a really cool sort of dichotomy they have going there. The idea that you have this super technological civilization that just collapses under the weight of sort of what they're doing, and I guess various pressures and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting because we see throughout history there have been tons of advanced for their time civilizations that have crumbled, and this sort of builds that idea. Is like, will our civilization crumble one day? Like, will we, as advanced as we are right now, end up getting to the point where we just completely wipe each other out? And it's very interesting to think about. Lore. The island of Akama is filled with strange ancient totems and relics that speak in a language long forgotten. It is said that if you open your soul to the world, you'll naturally come to understand its tongue. They are said to whisper secrets about the world around them and contain vast amounts of knowledge. Nobody knows for sure how this knowledge came to be imbued on these strange stone creatures, but however it got there, it stays locked inside It stays locked inside to most who try to understand them. The Atiyan themselves live lives just as vibrant and interesting as a people, maybe even more so. The computers at the lab are able to analyze their captured spirits and extract all kinds of information from them. In addition to allowing the player to bring their own Atiyan to existence, the lab will collect interesting facts about their behaviors, diet, special traits, and much more. As you play through the game and encounter different types of Atiyan and relics, the lab will fill up its encyclopedia of knowledge for you to come back anytime and read up upon. Learning more about the world of Atiyan can help you have a better sense of your own party's disposition and preferred battling styles. Resources. So, this game is very heavy with the resource management. Collecting resources will be vital for your adventure. Nothing can be done without having the right amount of materials, so fishing, woodcutting, and mining will all be necessary to help out villagers, upgrade your tools, unlock new forms for your creatures, etc. Sometimes you may even come across obstacles in the wild that require a healthy stack of resources to work your way around. Some are more common than others, so never miss out on an opportunity to grab a rare find. Make note of substantial resource deposits too, as they naturally replace themselves as the in-game timer ticks by. Items. Items, much like resources in their function, but differ in that they aren't gathered with tools. The blacksmith's able to create some of these items for you, provided you have the correct resources and a bit of extra monster essence on you. Monster essence is a currency of the island of Akama. You can find this essence flowing out of natural deposits as you collect resources, but most of the essence you find will come by the way of battles. Monster essence is created in large amounts during these clashes, and some of the essence transformations into some of that essence transforms into crystallized form that feed the Atiyan. Spirit Guide. Although this is your journey, you won't be going at it alone. Meet your very own spirit guide who will follow you throughout the world and connect your spirit to the Atiyan that travel with you. His appearance will differ depending on the area you travel through, but you can always count on him to have some deep insights and some interesting reactions to the events that unfold. He will act as a mentor and a friend, so that even in the darkest caves and highest peaks, you will have someone to experience this wonderful world with. He's a cast form, bro. Don't get it twisted. He's changing it up. Ruins. The city that used to span the entirety of Akama is now a little more than odd protrusions, of stone and rubble. You can travel large stretches of land in some areas and not even realize that there once was grand buildings and roadways in that very spot. But occasionally remains of the city are more apparent. Walls that are clearly bounded, rooms or basements of what used to be towering buildings. The totems and relics that were carefully placed around are sometimes accompanied by bits of old roadways, and some even speak to their old function within the city. Within enough pieces, it is possible to start to put together an image of what the place of old used to look like and how everybody lived years ago. These grand images the mind conjures up is difficult to understand and what could have led to its eventual fall. Maybe as you explore more about the island, you'll be able to figure that out. Cave of Heroes. The largest site that remains from the old times is the old Cave of Heroes. This place was rediscovered not too long ago and has become a sacred ground. Within the sprawling cave system, one can find many names scrawled on the walls, plaques covering the ground, and even a few impressive statues that have been meticulously carved. The many people recorded here are the founders of the old civilization, and an extensive list of all the people that have helped make their dream a reality. Some you might even recognize names of individuals who are in this game. Oh, interesting. This dream of ours come true. I wonder, will your name be on? Oh, I got it. So it's going to be backers. Backers are probably going to be part of this. That's pretty cool. And then here we got the monsters. So there's many different biomes filled with spaces for all kinds of different creatures to fill up Niche's ecosystem. But it seems that besides fish and a few birds, no animals live on the island. Instead, small balls of light roam around the wilderness, barely even visible to some and not to others. They're called Atiyan, and according to history, they are much more than they appear to be. In the ancient past, Atiyan appeared, though only referred to as the Rift, and they exploded in population and diversity throughout the island. For many generations, they've lived alongside people of the island, and there are descriptions of their kinds of magical powers capable of incredible feats. They have magical powers that are capable of incredible feats. I'm sorry that I keep freaking stumbling today. This is just awful. But it seems somewhere along the line, Atiyan and humans have drifted. The Atiyan remained on the island, but only their spiritual essence could be seen, those same strange balls of light. The rest of their existence fell into space between this world and the world of the Rift, and there the Ation could continue their lives without the disturbance of humanity. It is in this form that they stayed. Now, even their very existence as anything more alive than rocks and rivers has come into question. As the player will discover upon beginning their journey, this couldn't be further from the truth. Monster biography. We've paid much attention to the finer details of our monster designing process throughout Monster Tribe's development in order to create a believable and intricate ecosystem throughout Akama. To this end, every unique creature in the game will have an individual mini biography that will tell you something about them that you would otherwise not learn about them. So basically, it's a Pokedex entry, encyclopedia, etc. A lot of monster taming games have this, so this is very standard. Battling is a key aspect to Monster Tribe, and so we put the utmost care into making sure we got it right. Battles are fought with teams of Ation on a small grid battlefield, with each team occupying their own side of the field. There are many complex elements to the way these battles play out, but we have done everything to make sure that they are not only deep, but accessible and fun to play through. So basically, easy to learn, hard to master type thing. Team-based battles. Ation are social creatures. They have learned that survival is easier when working together. This is especially true when it comes to fighting. In order to collect crystallized essence for themselves, the Ation form small groups that take advantage of each individual's skills in order to create a small, powerful fighting unit. When putting together your own team, it's important to think about some balance and strategies around each team member. Some Ation do a great job of leading the charge, whilst others are more effective in supporting type roles. Every creature has its own specialties and weak points, and it's up to you to figure out how to take best advantage of that build and basically stand up to any threat. And apparently there are going to be many powerful threats to come, so definitely interesting. So now I got the elements, a type chart. This is scripted YouTube video type content for me. The most obvious way in which Ation differ is that each individual has both an elemental and class type associated with them. Learning the balance of these types is important to mastering combat. Elements and classes don't interact with each other, so even a monster with an elemental disadvantage could turn the tables with a class advantage. Pay attention to your creature's stats though, as elemental and class stats are split into separate categories. A class advantage won't do you much if your Ation is specialized purely for elemental combat. Type advantages and disadvantages will be clearly shown in battle, but it's still important to know and be aware of which enemies to look out for and which are easy for you to take out on the opposing team. So these aren't named, but it looks like we got like fire, water, nature, wind, poison. This looks like light, and then the bottom ones seem to be the various classes. So you have like a melee class, a mage class, a tank or a bruiser, ranged necromancer maybe, and the last one seems to be just blood. It just shoots you with the gun. Don't worry about it. Attacks. When Ation enter combat, they denote their position on the battlefield by placement on their 6-square grid. The placement of your creatures can mean a lot for battle, including gaining passive buffs and even restoring health and mana over time. Movement on the battlefield is also an important aspect of battling because rather than targeting specific creatures, Ation attack by targeting grid squares. Different actions can affect one or multiple squares, but each action has a very specific pattern to its area of effect. So here you can see the kind of example at the bottom. Status conditions. Finally, the last piece of the combat puzzle is statuses. They have tile. Okay, so they have tile statuses. That's kind of interesting. Both Ation and grid tiles can be afflicted with many different status conditions that have a wide range of effects. Certain actions can render a tile on a board blocked, stopping any creature from entering the space. Others can deal damage over time on Ation on that tile. That's actually really interesting. And then they have weather effects that basically think about it like Pokemon. You got rain, you got hail, stuff like that. They give you sort of boost depending on if you're the corresponding type with their with that specific effect. Very interesting. So the game features overworld to be filled with quests, resources, items to craft, basically everything you'd expect from what we talked about at the top. And then we already discussed resource collection, so I'm gonna sort of just quickly go through here, just because I don't want the video to end up being too long. Reese put a lot of information here. But yeah, so open world exploration. They've strived to fully capture the the spirit of exploration and the design of Monster Tribe. They've decided that every area in the game should be more or less accessible at any time. Basically, the game's going to be open world. In gist. So basically, you're going to be able to go to different areas when you want. And my assumption is that everything's going to sort of scale towards that. This is sort of the world map, right? So of the island, it's like a perfect square. I wonder if there's going to be a reason why it's such a perfect square. I wonder if that's going to sort of tie into the lore in any way. Or if that's just a design stylization type thing. Quests, there's going to be side quests in the games. I know Reese wanted to make sure the side quests feel very unique and that they're not just like a bunch of fetch quests. So that's definitely going to be a thing. It's going to sort of world build for you a little bit too. And then we're going to talk about dungeons. So lastly, we have dungeon areas in the game. These differ from the rest of the overworld by being areas focused on completing puzzles and defeating enemies in order to unlock new passageways and fight your way to the end. These will function similarly to the traditional Legend of Zelda dungeon scheme, giving players a chance to test their problem-solving abilities, memory, and of course their combat prowess. The most prominent of the dungeons are the imposing ancient towers that are spread throughout the island. The massive structures were built during a time of old, and basically you got to get through them. This game used to be called Monster Tower. I believe that was the original name for the game before it became Monster Tribe. So those towers are going to be very important. I'm assuming, I'm not 100% sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if they act like towers from Far Cry or Breath of the Wild. Like when you complete them too, you get like not necessarily an area unlocked, but you get to be able to see that area on the map. I'm not 100% sure if that's how it's going to work, but I could see something like that. And then you got the team. So we're gonna go into the rewards because you guys want to know what you're gonna get. So for $10, and this is Canadian, by the way. So like $10 Canadian is like $7 US, something like that. Name in the credits. 15, you get the game. 25, you get wallpapers and OST. 30, you get beta. 45, you get an art book. 60, you get your name carved in the cave that we were talking about. 80 is a physical art book. 100's a dedicated plaque. 150 is a fusion. That's a tier I went for. I'm not 100% sure how it works. I'm gonna message Reese and ask, but I don't know if they're gonna like give you two monsters and you can sort of design the fusion how you want it to look, or if it's gonna be more like you get to create what would be a fusion and then he's gonna make the two monsters. I'm not 100% sure about that. 200, you get custom statue. 300, you get a custom medium-sized statue. 500's NPC. NPCs are always so expensive. But 500 is actually pretty cheap compared to other games. I think Cerulean was the only one that had a really cheap cosmetic thing for a person. 800's for a custom large statue, and 1,000's to make a monster. That's why I'm kind of confused between the difference between create a fusion and create a monster. I'm gotta ask anyway. And then you got stretch goals. 20k will be for hand-drawn cutscenes like Nexomon. 30k will be new attack animations. 50k larger world map. 75k monster animations. And then 100k merchandise store, which a merchandise store would be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind getting some plushies for this game. That'd be definitely pretty interesting. Some of the monster designs are pretty cool too. But yeah, so that's pretty much the gist of the Kickstarter. A lot of information that they put into this. You could tell like they've been really planning this for a while. So if you guys do want to check it out, like I said, all links will be in the description. And I apologize for stumbling a bit on my words. Ed needs to go to bed. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. And until next time, peace.